I'm sure. I'm so used to both of my screens.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, 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 everybody. Can you hear me loud and clearly?
I can hear you clear.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Welcome, everyone, to Sister to Sister Talk Power Moves. Come on in the room. I am Mone't Horton, visionary and host, and I am here with my co-host, Tiara Parker. Tiara, say hello to the people. See, I think you on
She must be on mute
your
because I can't hear.
volume. Let me see. You got your volume up? It's still, I can't, can you hear?
A little.
Okay. I can't hear. Tiara. Come on in the room, everyone. Take a moment to click and share. Come on into the room, Sister to Sister Talk Power Moves. You have Mone't S. Horton here, your visionary and host, and co-host Tiara Parker. And tonight we have in the room with us the powerhouse, the support of all supporters, my big brother, Dr. Eric L. Holmes in the room. Dr. E, welcome.
Well, thank you very much. I'm grateful. I'm humbled. I'm honored. I'm excited. You already know. I'm already ready to go.
Come on in the room, everybody. Take a moment to click and share, because tonight we are going to hear from our very, very special guest. He has just dropped his new project, newly released project, and I'm super excited to have him back here again on Sister to Sister Talk Power Moves. So go ahead and take a moment and settle down, get in a quiet space. You want to make sure that you are able to take some copious notes. It's going to be some nuggets dropped in the house tonight because we're going to talk about embracing our now, right? While waiting on our next. Oh my goodness. T, can you hear me? Awesome. Now, let me see the volume. I still can't hear you. You can try to. Can you hear her, Dr. E?
I can. At first I could, but now I can't at all.
Okay. And let me just try to hit mute and then unmute because I want to make sure that we're all good and connected before we I'm going to do that. And then ask you to unmute and we're going to jump right on in. Everybody, again, welcome, welcome, welcome in tonight. We are here with our very special guest, Dr. Eric Holmes. He is very, very, very near and dear to me. Bro, we have known each other for, oh my goodness, it's been a long time, right? I feel like it's been over at least 10 years.
Way over.
Definitely. And we shared your bio, so I'm not going to, go deep in that, but you are definitely near and dear to my heart. You are always pushing and supporting and stuff. Be like, again, but y'all, we all need a cheerleader. We all need somebody to push and to just to help us along the way. And I can definitely say that, bro, you have definitely been that to me in my life. And I know there's so many other people who you have pushed. And this is now you have a lot of projects. You have a lot. And so what we're going to do tonight is you've been here at Sister to Sister Talk Power Moves before. We like to open up and have open, authentic conversations about our life, because a lot of times people see the glory, they see the glitz or the glam or whatever, right? But they don't know the process.
Mhm.
They don't know the process. And so you have released so many books. And let's just open up and have you just share a little bit about yourself. Give us a introduction. Then we want to go into this new project that you have released.
All right. So again, listen, I'm super excited, humbled, and honored always for an opportunity, one to share, and always that God gets all the glory. So it's a privilege and an opportunity. But I am grateful to be here with my two amazing sisters on tonight. And so everybody knows they call me Dr. E. I am originally from Harrisburg, PA, which I just came from for the holidays with family and friends. And just growing up with a family of eight, five brothers, two sisters, went to school, went to college, worked, then moved to Maryland, and just really started the whole journey, but always remembering where you come from. And so when I was home this past week for the holiday, I stopped by after coming from the library, submitted my book. Submitted my books to the library. I stopped by my old house where I grew up at, and I was like, wow, never forget where you come from. And I was seeing so many different people. And so growing up up in Harrisburg, PA, born and raised, went to school, like I said, went to school, went to college, and just family oriented, grew up with my brothers and sisters, and so grateful for family. And so
Yes.
always good to be back home. And so, and there, like I said, moved here to Maryland 30 years ago, and everything just continues to evolve.
Listen, and look, you kept it nice and sweet for us right then. But I know that we were just talking while you were out there this past weekend, and one thing about you, you're going to, what is it, work the vision and build the
And build
brand.
the brand.
One thing about my brother, when you talk to him, work the vision and build the brand. And I know that all glory goes to God. That's even without saying. Um, but I want to ask you, what truly like is your fuel? What drives you, and like what's the source of your passion, your fuel, your drive? Because like, bro, you got that energy. You come, we always talk about, you get that what you need, that 5 to 15 minute power nap, and then you are off and up and going. So tell us tonight, what fuels you, what keeps you moving in this vein of building the vision, working the brand, working the vision and building the brand? What is it?
One of the things is, of course, always prayer and always being led. But what's already in you, as my first lady, Dr. Pender, said, is going to come out of you. And so when you don't even
Mm,
know whatever your purpose or whatever, you don't know what it is God called you, she would always say, just do it all. He'll show you along the way. But this was already in me, even,
yeah.
in from when I was in the first grade, when we
Mm-hmm.
had a store, I was networking because you can earn all the points, get all the stuff, go to the store, but I was always networking then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even my mom was selling Converse All Stars and I was rocking them in the first grade, but always that networking, that push, but that drive and that passion in you. And the more and more I grew and mature, but that
Mm-hmm.
passion in you, it drives you. That passion, that purpose, as I always say, let your passion push you to purpose to connect with destiny. And so that passion was in you, whether to help, that passion, you know what I mean, to
Yeah.
build, that passion to succeed, that passion
Mm-hmm.
to, for schooling, all of that that's in you, you got to drive it. And so you got to push beyond the now so you can see the end results, which is victory. And so the passion in me it drives me. And not only that, you know, as being a go-getter, or as I watch my mom, you know, raise us and, you know, work and make sure we had, and that's also, you know, that's in me as well. And so I just drive. And so, but when God gives you a vision, and when he reveals the purpose and what he reveals to you to do, it drives. Like when I stopped in the store, it pays to obey, because I was getting ready to go to Big Lots, right? But then I said,
Right,
no,
right,
let
right.
me go to the dollar store, run into Tia. I end up talking about, because I got to preach tomorrow at my church. So for our evangelistical service, I end up sharing some of
Yes.
my message with her. She said, oh my God, she just stood there. Then she begins to share what she was dealing with. And God has a way of doing just what he does. And so that drive to really
Mm.
inspire and encourage and to help others is in me. So that really drives me when I can help somebody else, when I can make a difference, or when I can allow to continue to build what God has for me, and then allow others to know that's why you can't quit. That's why you got to keep going. That's why you don't have to get weary, as Paul says, because you know you have something coming, but you got to do the work.
But you got to do the work.
You got to
Let's
put in
talk
the work.
about let's talk about that, bro, because we've had so many different conversations about individuals who they have a business, or they you know, they have an idea, they have a goal, they have a vision, but a lot of people get stuck at the work. They do not want to put in the work. And when I see, you know, when I see you, look, when you have, we talk about, and we're gonna go here, but even when you work, you put your hours in, but then you got to work even more harder on your own vision, right? We work, if you have a 9 to 5 or whatever you have, right? You work that time, but you got to even put the work in even more for your vision, especially if you believe that that's what God has given you. So how important is it to put in that work?
It is so important. You know, I have a saying, work while you wait. You got to put your faith in action. You got to put your faith to work, but you got to do the work, and you got to put in the work, but you got to work while you wait. And so a lot of times, like, I know I'm working with theirs, but I always say, don't forget about your own. While I'm building theirs, I'm building mine and getting everything
Mhm.
I can to help me to push mine. And so what happens is you got to put in the work. Yes, when I come home, like you said, I take that power nap, but then I'm up, because if God is speaking, or if he's giving me things, that's why I look at my vision goal, my prayer board, my whiteboard, my affirmation board, and I'm looking at it. And so sometimes you got to go back and take another look. Sometimes you got to go back, erase some things, rewrite some things, but then you got to go back and say, you know what? Bam, let me just take a pivotal moment, shift, and move forward. Let me go back and revisit what he said, knowing that it's still good. The vision is still good. The promise is still good. And so what happens is I take another look, and I go even that much more to do what I got to do to get it done. And so it is so important that you put in the work. It is so important that you continue to build upon the foundation, or the vision, or the dream of what he's given you, if you're going to see success, if you're going to see results, if you're going to see the thing move forward and flourish. You got to put in the work. And it's so important that you can't look or base your success on somebody else's. You don't know what it
Mm.
cost them. You don't know what they had to endure, or what they're enduring to get to where they are, yet to get to where they're going. But you base yours on what he's given you. Like my illustration with the turtle and the rabbit, with the last book with the tracks on it. Here is the thing. He stayed in his lane. He worked the lane he was given, right? He didn't get distracted because the rabbit was faster. The rabbit started out ahead of him. We get distracted because we look at people that may appear to be ahead of us, or may appear to
Fear.
be faster. When it says run this race with patience, you got to run your own race. We're all in this journey called life. We're all in a race to get to the finish line. And it's not how you start, but how you finish. It's not how fast you run, but that you endure. And so I stay focused and determined on what he's given me, so I can't base it on somebody else's, because you'll get distracted and you won't be focused on what he's giving you, because you're too busy. And I remember this, God said, don't forfeit trying to run somebody else's lane or in somebody else's race. Stay focused, work the lane you've been given, and so you don't get distracted. That turtle just kept right on going. And I always say the rabbit took a break and the turtle just kept right on going. Guess who crossed the finish line? The turtle did.
he said the turtle took, wait a minute, the rabbit took the break and the turtle
Kept right on going. He
You
just
don't
kept
know
right on
who's
going.
gonna take that break. You got to stay on course. And I heard you say that you have to take time to revisit your
Mm-hmm.
vision. It is so important because in life, distractions are going to come. But it is so important for us to revisit our vision, because some of us, we need to be reminded. I said in one of my journals that you have to you have to you got to go back and see what God said the first time. Go back, because sometimes we have, while we're on our path and journey, so many things come, and then you get off course, right? But when you go back to the vision, and that's even why the word says, right, write the vision and make it plain. Because, and so you read it, you're gonna get clarity. You can run with it, not only other people, right, if they're connected to you, but you can be real clear on what he said and stay in alignment. And so, bro, I know in your home, you have your vision, you have everything all around you, a vision environment, your accomplishments, all of those things. So I know it to be true that you are a man who literally, you don't just say, right, you just don't talk it, but you are walking what you talk. And so I'm just excited. Did y'all get those nuggets already? Come on in the room. Come on in. Welcome to our new viewers tonight, our guests. Thank you for coming on in. We are here with Dr. Eric Holmes, Dr. E, my big brother. And we are going to talk about, we're just flowing in our conversation as he shared his background and about building the vision and working the brand and all of these different things. So just come on in the room and let us know if this is resonating with you tonight. Go ahead and let's talk about, I had to just make sure I brought it up, because even though I've supported from behind the scenes the majority of your latest projects, I want to make sure I got them all because I've got them lined up. So the first one, and these are your solo projects, was The Power of the Seed, right? The Power of the Seed. And whew, that was really the icebreaker, I would say, right? But
Yes.
then you released How to Handle Patience with Endurance, right?
How to handle patience and endurance.
And endurance. And then the next one is My Next Season is My Due Season. And I mean, y'all, when I just go back and just look at all that you have released, these are powerful. Just the titles are powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But this latest one, and that was just released on your birthday. So we want to also say shout out to you. Happy birthday, big bro. Happy birthday. We still celebrating. We are still celebrating. But embracing my now while waiting on my next. My God. We had service in my house.
Yeah, we did.
Didn't we?
We
Listen,
did.
I was
We
and
did.
just the thing about it is, and I literally watch you birth out these projects, that you say what God has given you to say. And there was a time where people had these big encyclopedia books, right? This thick books. And you got, and all of that has its time and its season. But your books are not even, it don't have to be thick. You say what God says, and that's it. But it's so rich, and you sharing your testimony. And I believe in this day and age, we are, living in an age where, everyone wants something quick. They want a word, they want something that they can hold on to and just know that, there is hope. How can I how can I turn the page and get to the next chapter? Or how do I move on, and how do I navigate from this situation to the next? And so what I love in your projects, in your book releases, that it's digestible, right? People can take it and they can read it and they can apply it now, immediately in their lives. So let's talk about embracing my now while waiting on my next. Where you want to start?
Wow. Well,
Tell
first
us
of all,
about.
I just want to say, yes, you've been with me through each transition of them, each release, even the process, even of the writing, the editing, all of that. So thank you. I commend you, my little sis, and even with Tierra coming on with this last project. What a blessing when you share the vision, as I always say this, if you share the vision, they'll push the vision because they'll house the vision in their heart. But if I left the vision with them, they wouldn't steal the vision.
Oh
You got to
gosh.
know who you can share the vision with and watch the vision move forward, or they take the vision to another level or another dimension. And that's what my team on Annette, Life Thoughts Publishing, Life Thoughts Graphics, Life Thoughts Photography, Mo's
Yes.
Enterprise, Parker, written with intention. And you took this to another level and dimension. And so even with this embracing my now while waiting on my next, as we kicked off your birthday celebration in August, it all came together, sitting
Wow.
right in Red Robin. But you were the one that really fueled it, because I heard something, I wrote it, and from there we went
We
forward.
did.
So when you hear a word, when you hear something and it connects in the Holy Ghost, when it connects in your spirit and you know it's God, and you see from right then, you start to put in the work. And so a lot of times we miss that Kairos moment. We miss the moment because we procrastinate, we wait. Now I could have waited and missed what God was doing, as far as even with the power of the seed, right in the kitchen, right there. I could have missed the moment, and now seeing where everything has gone, just like when I've been putting in the work with this already, right? Because when I was away in PA, I got up the next day, got things done, took care of some things, and was right at the libraries, making sure I had my ID, all the stuff to submit my books to the library, right? Putting in the work, working the vision, and building a brand, because I know this is going to bless somebody. I know this is going to inspire and encourage. Even when we did the book release, it was absolutely phenomenal. And it just be an encouragement to somebody, to allowing them to know you've got to deal with the now right here. And so you can, while you're waiting on the next, knowing that my next is now, but if you don't see it, if you don't believe it, nothing's going to happen. So now, while I'm waiting, what am I doing? As my bishop said, in the meantime, what am I doing in the meantime? While I'm working, I'm building, I'm putting in the work, I'm networking, but I'm getting it done. And so what happens is when this came to fruition, and even with oh my God, Aunt Annette said I need to do something different. But I believed in what she says, because I know she's graced with the oil to do it. And so you
Yeah.
have to have people around you that when you share it, yet they see something further that even you didn't see, that God gave
Wow.
them. And still look when you see the finished product of what has been birthed, but yet and still the intricate parts of what transpired, because I didn't see doing a photo shoot on the bridge by the water, but yet it was so prophetic, and the revelation that came out of it, that I'm in the middle of the bridge, but yet and still the blurb to the book said, on your journey to your next, you will encounter many obstacles along the way. It is important that you understand that each obstacle is just a bridge for you to get over, transporting you to your final destination. Well, I didn't know
Jesus.
I was going to be on a bridge, but yet look how prophetic and profound. But then he allows the sun to set, and the water, he allows me to look over the water and said, I'm going to lead you beside the still water. And
Still
then for
waters.
with the favor of God, that people stopped to let me finish this photo shoot on the middle of a bridge.
Good God have mercy. I'm done.
So I'm embracing where I am, but I see where I'm going. And so the bridge was the transportation of where I was going. So while I'm in the middle of the bridge, now I look behind for where I was, but she captured where I was going.
Jesus. T, you go ahead, because I'm listen. Listen. I don't think so. We can, but this, you know, you might have to jump out and jump back in, but I'm not sure. But bro, what as I was even, you just said a whole lot. When you handed over your manuscript to me and I began to read it, but even I had forgot about the moment that we had in Red Robin. And we were driving out and we were talking about your vision and the wording and everything. And when you said it, it just hit me. Embracing my now while waiting on my next. And what comes to my mind is that a lot of times, and let me just talk about me and my experience. And that I remember a season in my life where I was so focused on completing and getting to the next, right? Completing and getting to the next. Instead of truly like embracing the moment and I guess gaining the lesson that was in the now. And then sometimes there is a gap between, it's like, what do I do when I'm even in between seasons? So why is it, let's talk about this embracing the now. Why is that so important?
It is so important because if I can't deal with where I am right now, how am I going to get to where I'm going? Because if I don't deal with the season that I'm in, I can't move to the next season because you got to even deal with the season that you're in because you can't skip seasons. We are in the fall season. It feels like winter, but I can't jump the winter. It says technically on the calendar, December 20th or December 21st is winter, but yet today it sure felt like winter. Last night really felt, but I'm in fall. Why? And so now the wind was blowing, even when I took the train, so the wind was blowing, it's cold outside, but yet I can't skip the season that I'm in to get to the next season. I got to endure where I am. And most times we're trying to skip the process. We're trying to skip where we are, trying to get to where we're going. And you're not going to get to where you're going until you deal with the right now. Even in your life situations and circumstances, you got to deal with that chapter right there. Close that chapter, get it done before you can turn and move to the next chapter or to the next page. You've got to embrace where you are. And even with the ups, the downs, the failures, success, embrace where you are. Celebrate where you are. Get the lessons, the process, the preparation, because it's going to lead you to the next.
That's a word.
Whew. So we have to be good stewards. So we got to be, it will lead you, but that's only if we got to be good stewards of the now.
Absolutely.
We got to steward our current season well. That's important.
And be present.
Fully present, right.
Be present. Because it's just like Dr. E said, we get so focused on what the future has that we're trying to run through where we are now. If you don't embrace your process, if you don't embrace every moment, the good, the bad, the ugly, the in-between, because everything that you go through, every experience has something in it. God wastes nothing.
Nothing.
So if you're so busy trying to run through, you're going to miss the lesson and you're going to miss the blessing in it. There's a blessing and a lesson in it if you allow yourself to stay still enough to receive it. And that's the part of the embracing it part. I think that's the problem though, right? Because we don't want to embrace it. We don't want to embrace the pain of today so that we can have joy of tomorrow. We rather run through this pain, sleep through the pain, and then just pray like, okay, tomorrow it'll be better. But if we don't embrace it, how can we fully understand, comprehend, and receive the joy of tomorrow? We won't even really understand the magnitude of the blessing when it comes if we don't sit in it. We have to sit in it. It's not going to get better overnight because everything is a process. So when Dr. E talks about embracing the now, he's really talking about going through the process, not trying to hit the fast forward button, because that's what we try to do. We try to fast forward our way through life and fast forward our way to our quote unquote blessings and the promises that the Lord has for us in our mind. When a lot of times, how do you know that those are the promises that the Lord gave you versus what your flesh wants? Because then you got to distinguish between the two, right? Because that's a whole nother topic. But you have to sit in it. You have to sit in it.
And that's powerful because a lot of times I remember this 5 years ago, and it's so amazing that when I was in between the wilderness and the promise, but yet he gives me a word and says, don't compromise your promise and settle for less. It's worth the wait. I'm going to show you how to navigate through the wilderness to get to the promise. The promise is still good. There's no expiration date to my word or my promise. The promise is on the other side of the wilderness, and it's just waiting for you to show up. He took me to the 14th chapter of Joshua. And so listen, Caleb waited 45 years for a promise that he got at 40, but he said it was just as good when he was 85 than he was at 40. But here's the thing, going through it was side. It was on the waiting period. It was on how I waited, but it was through the process and preparation that led me to the promise. And so you got to go through it. It's the process. It's the preparation. Just like when I talk about the power of the seed with the farmer, he sees from the beginning, yet he sees the end, but he's got to deal with the middle process, but he can't even see or plan until he goes through the process, the preparation, the seed, the turning of the dirt, getting the ground ready, making sure it's good. And so then once he seeds, sows, or plant, now he can do the process. And what's happened is now gets to the middle of the process and said, listen, in the middle here is the critical part, because now I got to seed, I got to water, I got to nurture, I got to harvest. So now that the seed will germinate through the underground process to get to the set time and season. And guess what? That is going to produce the harvest. And even in the first year, it may not even come up. So he starts it all over again. And so, but he knows I got a season coming. I know I got a harvest coming. I know I got my due season. So I got to handle where I am. I got to have the patience and endurance to wait. And then now, while I'm doing all of that, I'm embracing my now while waiting on my next. I know I'm in my next season. I'm in my now season because I did all of that.
Jesus, that is a mouthful. And Dr. E, you just mentioned the wilderness season, and what I feel like a lot of our problem is when we get to that wilderness season, we instantly feel like the Lord has forgotten about us, not understanding and realizing that everyone goes through a wilderness season, and you're going to go through it more than one time in your life. It's having the faith and the knowing, right? Because you can be in the wilderness season. You don't have to like where you are, but you have the knowing that God is going to come through for you, that this is only temporary. When you were in your wilderness season, you had a knowing that this was only temporary, that this was only a short period of your journey, that you were actually embracing your now in the wilderness while waiting on your next, literally. So in that wilderness season, we have to be faithful. We have to suffer well, because you said it's how you wait, right? So if we're not suffering well and have that knowing and having that faith that this is only temporary, that God has not forgotten about us, that our promise is on the other side of the bridge, then how do we go through life? How do we go through life if you can't have the knowing in the wilderness season when everything looks like the opposite of what you've been promised? When your bank account is on zero, when your family and friends, no one's talking to you, you have no support. when things are going bad at your job, when you're like one step away from being evicted from your home, literally when your world is falling apart and you're in the wilderness season. How do you sit there and have faith and literally suffer well?
Yes.
Right? Because that's the test. So that at the end of it, we have a testimony.
Yeah.
We have to have great
Yeah.
expectation. Go ahead, Doctor. I don't want to cut you off.
No, I was going to say, and that's wonderful, because then you have to be reminded, even Jesus was led into the wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
But yet and still he sets the example. However, even with all of the suffering, then we got to go back to these light afflictions. Listen, they are but for, that's some of my message tomorrow, y'all. But they're just but for a moment. But we got to be reminded of the word. But we got to be reminded that this process and preparation, it is gearing me to where I'm going. And not only that, if I deal with it now, the sufferings, he said, but guess what? He's going to reign. He said in Hebrews 6 that God is not unrighteous to forget your labor of love. Guess what? He's not forgotten about us, but we got to be reminded of the word. We've got to be reminded that if I'm going to bless him, even in this, even in this, I still got to give him glory, because he said to me, I remember about 3 a.m. in one of my prayers, he said, how you handle the middle process is going to determine the outcome. Just don't get stuck in the middle of the process. You got to see it all the way to the end. Or just like when Paul and them shipwrecked and the storms came, the Euroclydon storm showed up. Listen, and it's going to happen in our lives. It showed up unannounced, unaware, and uninvited. But how they handled it determined the outcome. And so guess what? They had two options, swim or sink. And sometimes you got to pick up the broken pieces in your life and get to the other side. They swam, some on boards and some on broken pieces. But I can tell you this, everybody got safe to land. You got to sometimes pick up the broken pieces. But what did I learn in this process? What did I apply? But can I tell you this, that sometimes what part did I play in it?
That part.
What part did I play in it?
That is a good one. That's a good one.
And we've got to be reminded of that. What did I do in this? What did I learn? Or as they say, what was my takeaway? What did I apply in this process? I know going through that wilderness experience. I know being in between the wilderness and the promise. But I said, what did I apply? What did I learn? What did I take away? What part did I play?
Wow.
And you've got to be honest enough. We don't want to talk about that. We got a part to play. Even if you're waiting on a blessing, a miracle, you got a part to play. You got to have faith enough to believe it. You got to wait until it happens. But then what are you going to do as my bishop preached? In the meantime, what am I going to do in the meantime while I'm waiting on the miracle, while I'm waiting on the job, while I'm waiting on the manifestation of what God is doing? I got to bless him. In the midst of tears, I got to praise him. In the midst of heartache, in the midst of going through.
Jesus.
I still got to give him glory. I still got to bless him, because I tell you this, it would definitely get his attention, because if he know I can bless him in all of this, what do you think he's going to do when he brings me out on the other side of it?
You better tell him.
So look, because y'all taking me in, right? And so I wanted to read this excerpt from your book. And this is the first chapter, embracing my now. And on page 6 at the end, it says, one must realize that there is something greater on the horizon. I learned to endure the season I was in, knowing I had to embrace my now. You will be able to celebrate your now season because of your posture in the wait and not rushing the now. Start turning the page and turning the chapter. Good news is coming. God will give you another season.
Wow.
Your posture. What about this, because you just said a whole lot, but that posture in the waiting season.
It says a lot. Your posture says a lot to God, and how we respond and how in the midst of everything I might be experiencing, and like my bishop said Sunday, Lord, he tied right into this, that he preached the after season is coming after all of this. So I got to go through all of this to get to my after season. It's coming in the after season. My next season it's coming. Is another season coming. God controls all the seasons. He is in control. And so listen, I got another season coming so I can get excited and celebrate, even though I might be in the midst of a storm. I might be in the midst of an affliction. I might be in the midst of heartache. I might be in the midst of pain. But one thing I do know,
They ain't taking me out.
something else is on the other side. He know that he's given us an expected end.
Yes.
And he's going to fulfill everything that he said he would. But how we respond, how we bless him in the midst of it, our posture, our position, it says a lot to God. Because it says to me, I still trust you even in this. In the midst of God, I'm going to bless you. Even in the midst of whatever it might be, good, bad, or indifferent, God, I owe you it. One, you're my everything, so I owe you everything. Even if he don't do another thing, just the mere fact, as I'm looking at this black art, one side he's on the cross, one, he got the nails in the hand. And so when I'm looking at this, all I can think about Calvary, but I think about when he wrote the nails in his hand. And if he don't do another thing else, he's already done enough, and he don't have to do no more because he didn't have to do that.
Jesus.
So I owe him everything because he is my everything.
So is that posture of gratitude, being in a position of being thankful and grateful? God, I might not see fully what you said yet, but God, I give you thanks for where I am. I thank you for all that you've done, what you're doing. Being this giving him praise and just being thankful. How important is having, because we're in a season of gratitude and thankfulness, and you know what, I want to extend beyond just the season, but even we released today in our bi-weekly newsletter, having a lifestyle of gratitude. You know what I'm saying? Not just thanking him doing Thanksgiving, but every day putting a hallelujah. I thank you, God.
Every day.
That gratitude will close the gap and push you and pull you into your next season.
But I tell you one thing, it'll get God's attention. Because that's whose attention I need. And so when I can get his attention, when he knows that he sees me and I'm dealing with whatever, if he allowed it or whatever the purpose is behind it, but yet in the midst of the tears, in the midst of heartache, in the midst of pain, I'm blessing him, I'm giving him glory, I'm dancing before him, I'm lifting him up, I'm encouraging other people, I'm celebrating him, I'm speaking well of him. What do you think he gonna come see about me? He gonna come see about me. And so that's why every day above ground is a good day when you're walking on dirt and they ain't throwing it. I don't care what the situation, because like my bishop said, let me tell you, somebody's situation is always worse than yours.
Did you say you walking on dirt and they ain't throwing it?
They ain't throwing it.
See, one thing about bro, wait a minute, wait. He be talking so fast, but let me tell you something. He throw them words and he throw them words. You got to catch it in a wind, baby. You got to catch that thing. You got to catch it. He said that you walking on the dirt and they ain't throwing it. My God.
That part, listen.
But that's the reality.
It is, though. It really is. And Dr. E, when you talk about the posture of the weight, the first person I thought about was Anna in the Bible, because Anna, her promise was that she was going to meet the Messiah. She had to wait decades before she met the Messiah. But in her wait, she went to the temple every day. She prayed incessantly. To wait decades. We think that waiting a month for something, a year for something is too long. We're like, Jesus, what is happening? You told me. But Anna waited decades. And not only did she wait, but she embraced her now while she was waiting on her promise, because she went to the temple every day. She didn't miss a day, and she prayed every day, believing that her promise was going to come to pass. If we could live a life like Anna, praying in our wilderness every day, not missing a day, giving God all the glory and all the praise every single day, even on those off days when we're not feeling like ourselves, or we may feel depressed, or we may feel defeated, but still giving God glory. Imagine how great our praise would be when we get the promise. Because the thing about it is that when we don't suffer well, we have a different level of appreciation when the promise comes. It's almost like it comes with a sense of entitlement, kind of. Like, this was my promise, I finally got it. Versus you going to the temple every day, laying prostrate, saying, Lord, like you said, Dr. E, if you don't do another thing for me, if I receive this blessing that you promised me, this is just something in addition to what you've already done. Because you are already great. You already deserve all the glory.
But how about this? Even though Hannah went every day, but can you imagine being badgered by somebody else? While you're in the waiting process, in the waiting period, and she's faithful to go and in all of this, and she's still trusting and believing, and yet she's going every day, and then your adversary, shows up badgering you. And so how do you respond? But one thing, the posture she stayed was in prayer. The posture, she kept on believing. The posture, she was waiting on the promise. The posture in the in-between, knowing that something had to happen any day is about to show up. And you got to have that kind of faith. You got to have that mentality. Any day, the blessing's going to show up. Any day, the change is going to come. Any day, the miracle. Any day, the healing. Any day, the turnaround. Or as Fred Hammond would say, late in the midnight hour, God's going to turn it around. But you got to believe it. You have to have faith enough, like with the woman with the issue of blood. Guess what? All of that, all those years, but yet, understanding if she said, if I could just get to the hem of the garment.
Hem of this garment. Jesus.
If she just had faith enough, but not only that, look at the endurance, look at even the suffering, but how she went through, and yet and still with the faith that she had, if she got to the hem, but to touch the hem, but then the release of the virtue, but yet and still, not only was she was healed, but she was made whole because of her faith. So she went for one thing and turned around and got something else. That's how God will work it, y'all. You better wait, and it's worth the wait. It's worth waiting. It's worth the wait.
Because most times, what we have in mind for ourselves is a fraction of what God has for us. We think the promise is one thing, but God said, that's small potatoes. I want to give you everything. I don't want to give you just a side dish. I want to give you the whole entree. But will you wait on me to get it?
Will you wait on me?
Because we get so impatient that sometimes we get in our own way because we want fast food. I don't want a microwavable blessing. I want the crock pot blessing, the blessing that's been stewing and brewing, and all the flavors have been simmering. Okay, I want the crock pot blessing. Don't give me a microwavable blessing. I will wait on the Lord, okay, for my crock pot blessing. Because when
Paula said, "Go ahead." I'm sorry, Tick.
Because when we want that microwavable blessing, we get in our own way. And then we're settling. We're settling for something lesser than what God had for us.
God, I don't want anything lesser than what you want.
Listen.
What you have for me. Look, I'm looking at the comments. Paula said, he's going to come and see about me. I'm going to run, Dr. E. She said, I'm going to run. Look, the saints is in the comments tonight. Look, I want to drop another excerpt from the book, and I think this is one that had us going. And this one said, "No, you didn't understand the pain, but there was a promise attached to that pain that also had purpose attached to it. You couldn't imagine it, but it birthed you into your next. The wind of God breathed me into my next." You didn't understand the pain, but attached to it was the promise.
So I had to endure all of that, but yet and still, it was working, as Paul declared, it was working for my good. All of that, the pain that was producing the purpose, that was producing the promise, yet and still, though, when he blew the wind, it blew me right into my next. That's why the waiting is so important. That's why the posture is so important. That's why the lifting of your hands is so important. That's why opening up your mouth to bless him is so important. That's why it is so important, no matter what you're dealing with, no matter what you're facing. I promise, if you give him praise, if you give him the glory, if you lift your hands, if you open up your mouth and tell me thank you. First of all, I think you will open up room for more, but just to know him now, God, in the midst of it all, I still trust you. In the midst of it all, this process, this pain is producing the purpose that you have, but yet and still, there's a process, a promise attached to the pain. Nobody can do it like God can do it. Even in the endurance of it all, he backs his word up with a promise. And I gotta say this, let me back tag to what you said about the dealing with the microwave. I remember in the power of the seed, I said, there's some things that go in the microwave. There's some things that go in the oven, and there's some things that go in the crock pot. You can't put everything in the microwave, because here's what happens is, you gotta go, it may look good on the outside, but it's still frozen on the inside. You stick a fork in it, so what do you have to do? You gotta put it back in the microwave, put more time on it so it can get done. It may be steam coming out, and you took it out too soon, and yet it's undone. So I can't put this cake in like it's an easy bake oven. It's got to bake. I use the illustration with my first lady, like she can absolutely bake. She knows her craft. She knows all that she does, but she got to still allow the time for the cake to bake. You got to put things in the crock pot, like you said, so it can slow cook. You can't put everything in a microwave, because guess what? Just like that, we don't want to wait. Just like that, we want it instantly. And when you get things too fast, you won't be able to pertain it or to maintain it.
Maintain it. Y'all on fire. You listen. They say, give me, it's the crock pot blessing for me. I need my promise to have an aroma of a simmering pot. It's tender, hearty, and fully cooked.
Jesus, yes. Okay.
My God. Listen, what's the song say? Where do we go from here? My God. This is so good, because I believe that is so relevant now, when we're in a time where, people just want stuff immediately.
Yes.
But even in the word of God, in the scripture, I need to find it, but it says, if you want to reign with me, you also have to suffer. We got to learn how to suffer, with God. You might have said that scripture earlier. And so we have to know how and learn how to lean in, not to give up, right?
Yes.
A lot of times we are just that close already. We're that close. And you don't want to give up when you're right on the edge of your breakthrough and your blessing. When I was looking at it, when you talk about the wind of God blew me right into my next. The wind of God blew me, into my next, and when we're outside, and when the wind it get real cold, and you get a good wind to come, and it just kind of knock you, it kind of move you in, just that fast. God can just breathe. And it's a new season. Right? But you got to stay in position. Don't run in the
Mhm.
house. Get in your car and stay on task, right? Stay on task. But
Yes.
even in the midst of that, he's going to blow you, right? The wind of God is going to blow you right in the place that he'll have you to go. We can't give up. So so this embracing my now while waiting on my next. What is it that you want the readers to glean, and even those viewers today, and even those who will come back and listen to the replay? What is it that you really want them to take away from this book?
What I want them to take away, one, never give up. Never let go of your vision, your dreams, or your goals. Don't allow them to die. Don't allow others to cause them to die. Don't even allow yourself to cause them to die. My ultimate goal, always one, is definitely to point people back to the Savior, but wanting them to be inspired, encouraged, and uplifted and empowered when they finish reading, that they'll go back and do a self-assessment, as is one in the book, and evaluate where they are, examine where they are, look at where they are, take a pivotal moment, shift, and move forward into their next, but never quitting, never stop. You got to keep pushing, pressing, and pursuing purpose to connect with destiny. And so I want them to be fully equipped for where they're going in their next season, that they can now turn the page and turn the chapter. And so when you finish with it, it's going to inspire you the more to go back and take another look and look at things from another perspective, because in life, the angle gets off. And like the photographer, you got to look in the lens of the camera and adjust the lens and get the right angle so you can get the right picture. So I want them to get the right picture, get the right angle, shift, and move forward.
Listen, y'all heard it. Did you hear it? Did you get it? From another perspective, adjust the lens, see it from a new angle, a new perspective, a new mindset, shift, pivot, do what you need to do, make the adjustment so that you can embrace your now, right? While waiting on your next. I believe the most important thing is that we begin to truly, like, and we've said it repetitively tonight, is to be good stewards of where we are now. Praise them when they say in advance.
Yes.
Give thanks. Keep pressing when you don't feel like it. We went to volunteer this past weekend, and I'm gonna say a little bit because my mom, so she was going and everything. And she was like, Mo, because we've been going, y'all. She said, I wasn't, she said, I think I'm a little tired. I don't know about going today. And I said, Ma, you either you gonna go or you're not gonna go. And I said, there's gonna be a blessing in your pressing. And she showed up until you were right there to witness it.
Jesus.
Right on the spot, because she was in position and she pressed. It was somebody else there who she ended up ministering to, and she got the blessing. You know what I'm saying? And she was blessed. And then I looked over to her. The whole time she ain't looked like she was tired of anything. So even in your press, even in you changing your perspective and getting in position, God will give you that what you call it, that strength, that extra strength, right? To do whatever he has tasked you and assigned you to do. And that's the wind of God even showing up in your life when he blesses you to complete the task that you've given. And so really what it has impressed upon me is stay the course, like you said, to endure. Because what the word said, you shall reap if you what? Faint
not.
So we can't faint.
Not in this season. We too close.
Not in this season. We too close. So I'm just so super excited and just honored to watch you and even put my hand to the plow and support you in this, because I've seen the vision and seen you just build it, and seen you continue to layer it. And so I'm just, woo, it's just such a blessing. T, you have any other questions that you want to share with Dr. E tonight?
I think he put the
Look, he
period.
got me all.
He put the period, the exclamation point. I mean, he drew the line underneath. I think you definitely left everyone with something to think about, to evaluate, because if you don't have the correct posture, then you won't be able to do any of the things that you want them to do. We won't be able to do any of the things that you are trying to leave us with if our posture is not correct. And that
Absolutely. So look, you all, you heard it from Dr. E tonight himself. And Dr. E, can you share with us, how can people get your book? Look, I ain't going to steal a win. Let the people know how they can get your book, because I know you got it paperback. I know you got it virtually, ebook, all of that. So how can we connect and get your book?
One, this has been absolutely amazing always. To my two amazing sisters, thank you. Y'all are, as I said, the glue that put the thing together to make this successful. And so I am grateful. So always know when the wealth is coming and it's just in transition, you ain't gonna have to want for nothing. And it's just, well, you already know, Mo, for us going to SpeakerCon, what just evolved.
Listen.
So being in a place, being able to help, being able to serve, it turns around and it pushed us right to our next.
Come on.
And so y'all can get it. Y'all can, one, reach out to me. I know it's on Amazon, but me, like, I mailed out books today. I love signing them and I love mailing them. Or if you're in Baltimore, you can connect with me. You can message me. You can email me. You can Google me. You can pull it up on Amazon. My email's in there. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. So you can look for Dr. Eric Holmes on there and connect with me, message me, and I will sign one. I'm telling you, I promise you, it's going to encourage you, bless you, inspire you, but it's going to leave you empowered. And so I always tell people, it's not about a sale, but it's about a soul. It's not just about a sale, but it's about inspiration, encouragement, and about lifting people to push people to where they need to go. And so definitely get this, because it's going to cause you to go back and look at your vision, your dream, your goal. It's going to cause you to go back and look at whatever God has given you and go back and pick it up and run with it all over again.
Listen, like, what you gonna do, y'all? What we gonna do with them? What you need to, if you haven't plugged in, if you have not gotten Embracing My Now While Waiting on My Next, you want to go ahead and get all of Brother's connection, Dr. E's, all of his information tonight. You want to make sure, now it's all over his page. You can go to Eric Holmes on Facebook, like he said. You can go ahead and get it to him. He not only has this new project available, but he has all of his other books as well. So you might just want to talk to him to get a package, right? And so you want to plug in. You want to be able to take this time as we're in the final quarter of the year, y'all. Before you get to your next, how you can embrace your now diligently with persistence. So when your next comes, you just flow right on in. And so you want to go ahead and get the book. What you want to share tonight as we wrap up, Dr. Eric Holmes? It's been a pleasure. Anything else you want to share with our viewers tonight as we close out?
Just again, thank you, Mo. Thank you, Tierra. Tierra, I'm gonna email you. Thank you so much. And again, for Mo's Enterprise, written with intentions, which they are absolutely phenomenal, y'all. If you need anything done, I promise you, I don't care if it's a resume, I don't care if it's the editing. I'm telling you, this collaboration along with Life Thoughts Publishing, Life Thoughts Graphics, Life Thoughts Photography, I promise you, these three getting things done collectively in a collaboration effort, because you need people in this season. That divine connection, that power of networking, that power of collaboration is going to help you to get done what you need to get done. So again, thank you for this time. You know, I love y'all for life. I appreciate it. And so I'm looking for the next of what is to come out of the now of what we just embraced. And so I just want everybody to be inspired, be encouraged, be uplifted. Don't give up. Quitting is not an option, and faith is your only means of transportation. Victory is your only option. Understand and know, if you endure the wilderness, you'll be able to enjoy the promise. But you got to endure where you are before you can get to where you're going.
Listen, y'all, I'm gonna go and just sit and just rinse and repeat again and again. But here you are, you had it. You heard it from Dr. Eric Holmes himself. The pusher, the mover, the shaker, the supporter, the lifter. Like, I'm just bringing all these words, you know what I'm saying, together. Bro, you are, I'm just so grateful for you tonight. He always brings the energy. He always brings, you see how it just pours out of him, because this is his purpose. This is his passion. And this is an opportunity to sow back into him. He has invested in so many others. And again, bro, Dr. E, I love, respect, and honor you. And I thank you for pushing me even the more into my purpose and making sure that I'm in these places and in these spaces. So I appreciate you, because you know what? Before, sometimes you know what you need to do. Sometimes you know what you need to do, right? What we need to do, a lot of times we don't do. Right. And so we need someone to sometimes just push you and to make sure you're in there. And then when you show up and you literally do go up and you're shifted into your next, it's just like there and there it is, right? And it happens. And so I just want to encourage everyone who viewed tonight to go ahead and lock in, connect with Dr. E. He's going to make sure to also share his hashtags on social media so that you can connect with him, get the book, sow the seeds, because you're sowing into just great ground, and you're definitely you're going to see the turnover of the power that's truly in the seed that you sow. And so I thank you again, brother, for joining us tonight. And I look forward to what God is, the more that he's doing in this season, and then definitely what's to come in the next season. And so thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for sharing your vision. I also want to give it up to my co-host, Tierra Parker. I thank God for you. You show up in your yes, and you all also shared just before we drop off tonight. We thank you all for coming in and tuning and sharing and all of that. That you heard Dr. E talk about the collaboration between myself representing Mo's Enterprise and Tierra Parker representing Written with Intention, and then Annette E. Morton representing Life Thoughts Publishing, Life Thoughts, oh my goodness,
Photography.
I'm about to say autography. Wait a minute, wait a minute, photography.
And Life Thoughts Graphics.
I just should have said ... because there's so much more that's coming. But we work behind the scene to support individuals who are looking to birth out their vision. And so if you are here to, you're ready to birth out your vision, to birth out your book, whatever it is, connect with us, and we can tailor our support to fit your need. And that's if we are that team for you. But again, we thank you all for joining tonight. This has been another edition of Sister to Sister Talk Power Moves. And we thank you all for joining. Tune in to us next week, y'all. We have yet another just absolutely amazing guest. And we just thank you all for joining because we're going higher and higher and higher.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. E. We love you.
I love y'all. You already know.
Y'all grab your book. Did you drop your
I didn't because I'm on my I'm not on my computer, so
got you.
but
What's your IG? What's your IG? Your Instagram.
The power of the seed.
Got you. Okay. So yes, the power of the seed. You can follow him there. And then Facebook is under his name, and you can connect for your book. All right.
Yeah.
Love you all. I think we covered everything.
Right.
Love y'all.
Get your book.
That's right.
Take care. Get your copy. Thank you, Dr. E.
All right.
Embrace
love y'all.
your now while waiting your next. We love you too. God bless you. Bye-bye.